Hi everyone, welcome to this live session, to the very first live session on this channel. I'm so glad to have Zulie, Amardeep and Mike with me here and to have this channel popping up finally. So we've been working on this for a while and I'm really appreciate that the three of you are with me today. So thank you for making time and jumping into this session. So we're going to talk about something really interesting. Which traits do writers need to succeed on Medium in 2021? And I kind of hate using the word succeed, but I think when we talk about Medium, we all want kind of the same thing. We want more readers, more eyeballs on our stories, and finally probably also more earnings. So I guess we're all sure about what we mean when we say succeed on Medium. So what do you guys think? Which are the traits one needs in order to make it on Medium in 2021? Mike, you've been on the platform for the longest. Do you have any kind of characteristics that stand out to you?
Right now, patience is probably the biggest one. And honesty always seems like there's a lot. The platform's growing fast. There's a lot of new writers. And I think long-term, the people who are going to stand out are the ones who are consistently themselves. They're not just hopping from trend to trend, trying to catch the next thing, but actually thinking about what they want to write, how they're going to position it. And I'm kind of thinking the days Medium wants quality, and I think it's kind of showing now. Like they're not curating as much. It is like the publications on their side are growing. Like they get a debugger now with 1.0. I think that quality is really going to start like the next year. I think is really going to be relevant. So like those one hit things of like 5 ways to do X, I think is going to slow down some. And I do think I think the patience right now is figuring out how to stick it out. It's like the platform, like I've been on for four years almost. And the last 6 months have been the hardest in terms of getting articles to move for just about every veteran I know. And maybe you can get one to pop, but months later, and it's kind of luck. So even if you get articles moving the first week right now, it seems like the 8th day, they all just kind of die and there's a new round. And I don't know if that's just because of all the new articles or the algorithm. But I've always done that. Like I started with Medium and it was just like 1 article a week. And now I'm doing 2 a week. But that's my rhythm. Just like do 2 a week and hopefully the chips start to fall in my direction.
That's interesting. I thought about a few characteristics and traits for myself, but I didn't think about patience, but it's definitely one of the most important ones.
I don't know. I would love to hear from you, Mike. When do you reckon it's worth cutting the costs and bouncing? How long should you be patient for?
With Medium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been writing on there since before I was paid, so I don't think I'll ever stop writing on there, but maybe the amount of time, it's not like my reason isn't monetary. Like now it is, but like, you know what I mean? I think it is something that's always Medium is kind of my reflection part. It's like, it's how I reflect. It's an extension of my life. So the things I'm learning, the conversation I'm having, it's like hopefully a hopeful diary in a way. So I don't think, and plus I think it's cool in 10 years, my kids will be able to read it. And I think it's an interesting legacy that maybe is like your online profile is something that people can enjoy for, until we all kill each other, I guess. But
that's optimistic.
Yeah, it's Monday, but it is something I do I don't think I'll ever leave, but the time investment. Yeah, I think for me, if I'm not getting the views and I'm getting like right now, I get offers of guaranteed pay from places with big names and big audiences. And there's only so much, I'm not writing a lot. I do 2 articles a week. I don't have time for 3. So I'm right now I'm betting on Medium.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long. Maybe I'll do 1-in-1 next year if it's still slow. But generally, if things go down, I don't want to be somebody who's chasing success from a year ago. And with writing, there's a lot of places where you can get your name to grow.
I think as well, one thing is for new writers as well. So I know, for example, Sinem wrote for 1.5 years before starting to take it seriously, and there's lots of writers who write for a while before like kind of taking off and seeing success. So I guess for those people, I'm not sure if I was in that position, how long I'd stick it out for. And I guess it really depends on if it's a hobby or if it's a kind of career for you and where you see it. Because if it's something you're just doing for fun, then you don't really care, right? But if you're doing it for the money or for the business, then if you're not really seeing results, then you've got to kind of cut your losses at some point. Like if it's your sole source of income, then I would strongly recommend being very careful about writing on Medium for 2 years without seeing any return and burning through all your savings. But if it's you've got a full-time job or you've got some other source of income and you're enjoying writing, then you can kind of keep going. But yeah, I think for a new writer, if you're only writing to make money and you're not making money, then I wouldn't stick around too long, because it's very competitive and you've got to invest in yourself. So obviously if you're watching this, you're investing in yourself by listening to people who've got the lessons and you can learn from. And
I think that's
got to do that, but don't just write blindly for like 12 months not making any money, because you've got to eat.
Totally agree with the point about.
I think I've frozen. Yeah.
Now you're back. That maybe that's worth mentioning. So I had written more than 100 stories without making a significant income through Medium. But the thing is, so back then I had 1 month, I think it was my 3rd month or so, when I made $80 on Medium. And for me, these $80 were crazy high. I was like, somebody read, or a bunch of people read something that I've written on the internet in my free time, without ever having professionally learned this stuff, etc. So I think it's also kind of that benchmark that you have for yourself. And the thing is, I knew when I decided to take it seriously and when I researched what the successful people were doing, it didn't take me long to understand that what I have published so far was crap. And realizing that gave me that motivational boost to have the energy and mental power to start all over again and kind of not count these first 100 articles or 150 articles, because I knew that they were not good enough. But if you feel like you are doing a good job and you're not seeing your desired results, maybe it's worth talking to someone who is seeing the results, and not just because we say that you need patience doesn't mean you need to be patient for a few years until you finally make $100 or $1,000 on the platform, because it can happen really quickly. We have a lot of examples for people who had that experience. And what I wanted to mention also about Mike's point. So he said that looking beyond the Medium sphere and just being aware of everything that's happening. For me, when I read that question on which traits do writers need to succeed on Medium in the future or in 2021, the first thing that came to my mind was adaptability. Like being able to go with the flow, with the changes, and knowing that Medium doesn't owe any of us anything. They could change the rules anytime. Being grateful for the opportunity that we have right now, making the most out of it, and not freaking out when things change, and adapting the work you do. How do you see that, Zulie? What's your take on the things we mentioned?
I think you can have like a perfect set of characteristics on Medium. Patience, adaptability for sure. I think the ability to hear feedback from other people and take that into account moving forward. For me, honestly, I think a lot of us here, maybe Mike excluded. No, actually, Sinem, you're excluded from this as well. Me and Amar, at least, we had hits early on. We saw stuff. One of the first stories I published went viral by my standards that case and earned me a couple $100 my 2nd month on Medium. And for me, what's kept me going on the months that I haven't had a hit is just the hope. And I think you really have to have optimism about yourself and about the future of the platform and about your writing. When you try something, it does really well. You try the same thing, it goes terribly. And you have to be like, okay, I know I can do better. I know I can perform better on Medium. I just have to keep hoping, keep trying, keep experimenting, keep reaching out for feedback. And that, I guess that's kind of, resilience / hope and optimism that there is a future for you on the platform. What about you, Amar? You had a similar experience to me, didn't you?
Yeah, so I guess like I had the weird thing of where I had really low expectations. So then it was really easy for me to beat them. And then I was really happy. And then obviously, so my first article made like 2,000 something. And then I was like, this stuff is easy. I'm going to make so much money. And it didn't work out like that, right? Like then you go on the dip and then like, oh, okay, maybe I'm just a fluke. Maybe I'm not actually good at all. And it took me a little while, maybe a couple more months. And then I had another big hit and then another one. And I was like, okay, I'm a 2-hit wonder. Okay, now I'm a 3-hit wonder. I was like, okay, now maybe I'm actually good because I've got a few. Like you can't be lucky 10 times, right? And I think for me that kind of happened is where I always thought like, I'm kind of good, but like I think I don't really know. And in my head, like you said, I think we've talked about this before, Zulie, where we say, I pretty much think every single article I write is going to go viral. I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. This is going to go viral. It's going to break the internet. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I still have the same optimism for my next article. I don't learn.
Yeah.
And
it's delusion.
I think that's
delusional, no? Like delusional optimism.
You have to fall somewhere in between delusional and hopeful to be successful on Medium.
Yeah, nuts, crazy. Yeah, like
exactly. Like, have you met me? Another one I'd say as well is curiosity. I think that's like, such a massive point of just like the people who write good articles, they find stories in everything.
Yeah.
The way they view the world, that's the gift that they can share on Medium. If they can view the world from a different lens than what everybody else is seeing, and like, oh, what about this? And there's a great article that came out today in Entrepreneur's Handbook from a guy called Aaron, who it was about his daughter asking about like why a fire truck's red and why a bus is yellow, a school bus is yellow. This is in America, and from that he made a business story out of that. And it's like nobody's like I've never read anything like that. But
so
that kind of story is just really cool, and it brings into this whole thing of like it's worth reading on Medium for people who can do that kind of thing of find these stories, find this stuff that you've never seen before. So if you want to be a successful on Medium, be curious, be creative, find these ideas and think about things in a different way. And some of that's innate, but a lot of that can be learned. And it's about your mindset and how you view the world.
I want to take that exact point and actually apply it to Medium as a platform, kind of along my same tangent of hopefulness. Like when something does bad, right? You write a story, you pour your whole heart, you're like, yes, this will be viral, it will trend on Medium, and then it doesn't. I think what's helped me carry on is to try to figure out why. Like, okay, that one didn't do well, but why? Was it my introduction? Was it my title? Did I lose my tone of voice? Did I sell out too much? Was this too much about me and not enough about the reader? And I think looking at your own work with that kind of curiosity of, yeah, well, why did that do so well? Why didn't that do so well? Has helped me navigate a lot of the very numerous twists and turns on the platform. Because Medium, and this is more to your point, Sinem, Medium changes a lot. And you have to be able to balance those pivots to carry on being successful.
Do you always find an answer to that question of why it didn't perform?
Medium's not a great sort of experimental platform. You can't A/B test anything. You can't like publish the same thing twice in different publications. You can't duplicate your experiments. You can only formulate hypotheses and then just like guess. So no, the answer is no. I don't get an answer, but I like to keep trying.
Yeah.
The delusional hope, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, delusional hope. But also, I think the curiosity thing is one thing. Like, but also, I think people overestimate how clever they need to be. Is the biggest thing that I see in people's writing. Is my articles? I don't use words that have more than 3 syllables almost ever. It's like simplified, like distilling down stuff we already know, like relatability. I think is a big one. So if you're adaptable, I mean, you're relatable. If you can like relate, it's like being adaptable. If you're in a business, like everyone says, like be adaptable, but how do you do that? And I think it's learning different styles, not necessarily adapting when Medium changes, but proactively doing that before they change. And it's like Nick Goki said to me, like when I had like I was Mr. Listicle for a year in 2019, and he messaged me like you need a new style. Like do it before.
Wait,
like do it.
unsolicited? He just messaged you like, Mike, you cannot.
Well, he said, "Good job, Mike. We know you're all great now. Change your style."
Oh my
And
God.
he's absolutely right. And it was like getting ahead, like before I drop off the cliff.
Yeah.
Like get ahead by learning a different style. And what I did was I rewrote old fables to learn how to be a storyteller. Like, so I read old fables from China, India, and I rewrote them. And it was just like, that taught me how to start to tell stories that have self-improvement lessons in them. Then I did a couple with interviews for people, and then I could like usually like you were trying different things. Like now, like whenever anything changes, like you're already on it. Like you're not trying to adapt, like you've already adapted. I think that that's always like being proactive with learning new writing skills is like, shit, if I can do a story of like that makes someone cry, then one that makes somebody think, and then one that's super fun and light to read, like you can rotate those. So you're always kind of like, you're always fitting in somewhere, you know? That was a little bit of a rant, and that's the angriest I'll ever get probably on video, but.
You're allowed. I think one of the best pieces of writing I ever heard was from you, Sinem. Actually, this was in one of our roundtable recordings, and you said, or maybe it was, anyway, you said, I try to keep things as simple as possible. And I think, yeah, with Medium, you cannot, if you want to be successful, you have to keep your audience in mind. You can't just think about yourself. And for you, that made so much sense to me when you were like, if I want my audience to get the most out of this, I just want to put it out there in front of them. I don't want to have to make them think about it too much or like do too much analysis. I just want to give them the value up front. And that did change the way I started thinking about my writing. And I think, I mean, God, it's too soon to tell, but I hope it improves it. And I think, yeah, just being able to go beyond yourself, think about your audience, think about the platform, think about what value you can provide for both readers and medium.com as a whole. That is really, really helpful when it comes to being successful on Medium.
Sean Kernan ran an article, I think yesterday, about intelligence.
Oh yeah,
the last point,
number 2.
The last piece. Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it the last piece? Damn him. The last piece of was it's a great simplifier. And I think that that's always true. Is like with Medium, like if you look at the people doing well, like Nick Wignall is not writing complicated stuff. He's writing very simple stuff very well. And it's very easy for people to read, and it's memorable.
Yeah.
So trying to get like, I'm going to stand out. Like you don't just show up every day, clearly, you know?
The thing is, you don't stand out by sounding or trying to sound smart or too different. I think we often forget, or writers often forget, beginning writers, that the internet is crowded, Medium is crowded. You don't have a second chance. People click on your story if your title, image, and subtitle are good enough. And then you have a really short time spent to convince them that it's worth staying. Like nobody will give you, a minute of their time if you don't convince them that it's worth it. And that was, so I remember one of the tips you gave me, Mike. I think it was in one of, I don't know, very early when we talked to each other. And you said that somebody once told you that your sentences shouldn't be longer than 20 to 25 words.
Yeah, if you keep it like with Fast Company or Business Insider, like try to keep it at 900 words total, like the whole article. Anything more is you're trying to say too much or too little, like you're trying like way too hard and you're not getting to the point fast enough, or you're like you have too many points. And each sentence, like 80% of your sentences, keep it 20 words. So you don't have to keep it right at 20, like, but it's just the rhythm. Like if you look at good writers, like it's short, long, short, like there's a rhythm to it. And you're allowed to just get rid of ands and put a period and start over. It's just
And so that's something that I do heavily in my editing. Like I use this Hemingway editor to see where the longest sentences in my story are. And I don't remove all of them. But if it's a long sentence, I read it at least 2 or 3 times again to understand if it's a clear sentence and if it makes sense. So you can have long sentences, but make sure they are extra clear. And people they won't read a whole section again because they didn't understand your point. That's really, you cannot expect people to do that. You are competing with so many other writers, and I think simplicity in expressing your ideas is really important. And I think for me, this is actually an advantage as a non-native writer, because writing in a simple way is easier for a non-native, obviously, other than, using super complicated sentence structures or words. So that's something you can really learn. And my first articles were like, if I read them now, what I've wrote like 2 years ago, I don't understand what I wanted to say. So that was a long journey, but it was focusing on clarity and simplicity, and I really believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think about that a lot. Like, Sinem, I live in Spain, so I think in Spanish, I speak in Spanish, or I speak in very slow English. And how that affected my writing is probably the number one reason why I write very clear sentences, because I have to communicate like that to survive here. And it is interesting. Like, if you look at Todd Bryson's a really good guy to read in terms of style of writing.
Yeah.
Where he's got a very good rhythm, and like, look at his older stuff. He's just doing short things now. But if you do a dive through, it's super engaging, very conversational, and very easy to read. And I think that's what I go to Medium for, is that kind of like, it's almost like you're being intimate, but in a fun way, in a lighthearted way.
Let's have a look at the comments that we received so far. So we have a Zulie fan here. Zulie, you want to say hi?
Hi, so good to see you. I think I've seen you on some of my other live streams. So very cool.
So there's actually an exciting question. The first one that we received. Why do we think that some people just leave Medium? And I think I talked about that to Amardeep or maybe a few other people. So it's an interesting question. Do you guys want to share your takes? Why do you think people leave? So we have all been in touch with Danny. We know Danny. So why do you think people leave? And what is the message here for people who are still trying to figure out whether it's worth staying or whether they should leave?
For me, I think with Danny, it was starting a family and just wanting to get a little bit more stability.
Yeah.
And with Medium, like, he had a style that did really, really well in 2018. And it was just like, he's using that to like teach skills and stuff. And I think it's just because like he was one of the first doing that well there. And I just think he's at that point too. And I understand this completely, of just not wanting to chase something that is like, it's like, for me, if I start to dip too much, I'm not going to stick around and just try and please Medium. So I don't think it's a personal thing. I think the quality of life, when you have a wife and kids, he's self-employed like me, and it's like Medium's our income. So we get those ups and downs. And there may come a point when when you think that maybe it's not worth it, like the ups and downs, and you can get something more stable. But generally, I'm kind of surprised that people just don't just put their blog posts in their own blog and then bring it over to Medium and spend 5 seconds on Medium, cut and pasting it, and then leaving. Like, you don't have to be super engaged in the community. Like, most people don't engage with anybody. So I never really understood that. Like, still, like, repost it. Like, it's like sharing it on Twitter.
Yeah. And for some of these people as well, if you're earning enough, you can just hire somebody as a VA to do it for you. Pay them $10 an hour for a couple of hours a week. Just tell them to take it across. So if it's a time issue, then get somebody else to do it for you. And it's not expensive, really. But I think the other thing as well is some people just fall out of love with writing completely.
Yeah. Or perhaps fall out of love with writing the type of stuff that does well on Medium. Do you know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier, Mike, about how Nick Wignall has this formula that he uses, and he's very successful with it. He knows how to do that so well. And he shows no signs of wanting to leave. But I can imagine if I were him, the day might come when I'm like, I don't want to write another 4-point personal development listicle. I don't. I'm done with that. I want to move on with my life. And I've seen, like, I don't know about y'all, but when I was on Medium, I started in 2018. The big names were like Benjamin P. Hardy, Chris Gage, Brianna Weiss, John Gorman. They are nowhere to be found now. They don't publish on Medium anymore. And I think part of it is their own personal evolution. They're just like, that was a phase in my life. And now I'm on phase, whatever's next and exciting. That's just how people go.
Yeah, I think it is fun
I
to think
think-
like that. If you get a whole, like a 2 month, like a 2 year, like a 6 month thing where you're earning cash from writing, like this is like being paid to write is a luxury that didn't exist a couple years ago even.
Yeah.
So if you can just, like, for me, like, I'm attached to the community. I have friends there. I like Medium. I like writing there. It's like where I found writing. It's going to be really hard for me to leave Medium. But I get the attachment side of, maybe it is like, it's just a pocket of time that, hey, I got lucky for a little bit there, and look at that fondly instead of being angry with the changes and stuff. It's probably a healthier way to live.
Yeah.
And I think one issue is also a lot of people have had great results on Medium monetarily, but or maybe they had their results were so great that they didn't bother about making it more stable through other forms of monetization. And then when Medium changes in certain ways and what they did doesn't work that well anymore, but they would love to keep doing that, it suddenly becomes a struggle, because you cannot do what you've been doing and you don't have too many other options to balance the income. And so my standpoint is always, try to figure out how Medium works, but then as soon as you did that, try to figure out how to build your own little empire that is more independent, email list, private clients, products, services, whatever, depending on where you are in your life, if you want to be a full-time, business owner, entrepreneur, full-time writer. But it definitely makes sense to think about these things before you are forced to think about them.
You raise a good point in that a lot of people, actually, I'm going to go ahead and say most of the successful writers on Medium are independent, where if Medium went down tomorrow, for whatever reason, they would probably be okay. And actually, I think, like, whether that's just a sort of independent mindset or it's something that they've actually actively built on, like you're saying, I think, most successful writers on Medium have a lot of fallback plans.
And I think they'd actually be better off. They had their, like, they're, like we get lazy. Like,
We do.
Medium pays me. And it is, I think, if we actually had, like, it disappeared tomorrow, there'd be more collaborations, there'd be more backlink sharing, there'd be more affiliate stuff, there'd be more. My guess is we'd probably, like, when your back is up against the wall, you probably are going to respond stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at a few of the other questions. There's one from Olha where she says, do you guys republish your articles on other platforms besides Newsbreak and Vocal? Do you guys do that?
I've played with turning some of my articles into Twitter threads, tweet threads. I've put a couple on Pinterest. For me, I've literally done a cost-benefit analysis. It is not worth my time to do that. I'm always better off writing or marketing or emailing or something. So personally, no. But what about y'all?
Yeah, same. It's just that thing of, if you try to be everywhere, then you're kind of nowhere. And it's just all these extra tasks, they add on to your stress and the little things you have to do. But for example, I share my stuff on Facebook. I probably get 5 views from Facebook or like Twitter, and it's kind of putting your articles elsewhere. It might work, it might lead to some opportunity, but most of the time it's not, unless it's a big name. If it's going to be syndicated into Business Insider, do it. But there's no point publishing somewhere where it's going to get 5 views. You're just wasting your time, really.
Yeah.
That's my kind of thinking.
Yeah, I try not to do any social for the most part. But I do, if they're doing well and they're in, like, my business lane and Medium, I'll send them over to Business Insider and stuff for syndication. And a couple of places like the Ladders would just grab my articles each month. So that makes it easy. But with Newsfeed, like Newsbreak, it's like, that was the easiest way to make money in the biz. I was accepted in, and I just had to do 12 articles a month for $1,000. In 1 month I did it, and the other 2 I didn't. Like, it was just like, it just was like, oh, am I really doing this? So it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just more like, I don't see myself investing in that platform in the future. And the same with vocal, is like, maybe if they evolve some, but right now I'd wait for, like, for me, I'm just going to wait until they're established. But generally I try not to, like, LinkedIn is for me, if you have a work thing, even if you have a self-help thing, like LinkedIn, I think is a no-brainer. Also, like, it's literally a cut and paste job. Like, and you can get coaching clients from there. And so I think it's a good idea with LinkedIn, but there's a lot of options now, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had an interview with Tom last week, so Tom Kugler, and he mentioned that LinkedIn is one of the most underrated writing platforms right now. So he says that he gets a bunch of views there. I believe, Amar, you said that, I think if you try to be everywhere, you'll likely end up being nowhere. I highly believe in that. So I have a few stories in Thrive Global, it's called, right? Yeah. Thrive Global, in Business Insider, but I don't invest time into these platforms. So if I don't even invest the time to copy paste it to LinkedIn, because I feel like if you add these things up, they take up time. If you have someone to do it for you, it's great, and you can publish them everywhere. But I think if you are everywhere a bit, you will not be able to make up the amount of views you can potentially get on Medium, for example. So for me, definitely that investing in one new article is worth more than investing in getting a few more views on each article.
One thing
I think also it's super fast with LinkedIn. For me, I would just do a rotation, like every 6 months, like 6 month lag on your Medium articles, just so you're not doing like the same one, like rerun
That's
it. Like, we only have one shot for Medium for articles.
That's a cool idea.
So I wouldn't just like, don't cut and paste it immediately over, wait.
Do you really copy paste the whole article to LinkedIn? Like long
I used to, and now I just don't have to. It's like, I kind of dropped LinkedIn, and I just will do a cut and paste of the article, and it's working now. Like, it used to, if you just did a cut and paste to another platform, like, you never got views on LinkedIn for it. And something changed where now I'm getting views with links out to other places.
Hang on, sorry. I'm just going to copy
Interesting.
right now. So you copy a post from Medium and you paste the whole thing as a LinkedIn status update. Is that right?
No, as an article.
As an article. Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to try that right now and see what happens.
So there's 2 options. Like, there's people who have 600 articles on LinkedIn. But what I would do is rotate them out, so it's every 90 days, 180 days. But right now I'm just sharing the links, and it's working. It's like the last one, I think, got 7,000 or 8,000 views or something, just from the link from Medium.
Oh wait, so you don't even
7,000 or 8,000 views on LinkedIn.
Like views or impressions, I don't know what's what.
Okay, yeah, but
like
LinkedIn impression.
Newsbreak, I don't know what an impression means. Yeah.
Sorry, hang on, Mike.
I don't know if I can pull up the data or not.
Do you? Sorry if this is me being slow. So you post the whole thing and then the link at the bottom, or you just post the link?
All right, there's two ways. Now I lost you guys. I was going to LinkedIn. Where's the video for you guys? Where are your smiling faces? So I'll go to LinkedIn, and there's 2 options. Either update, like do the whole article, like cut and paste in an article.
Yeah.
And run it as an article. Like, I published a new article. Or just share the link, like a status update with the link to Medium. And in the past, they used to not like that on LinkedIn, but the algorithm now seems to think it's fine. So I'm seeing, like, when I just share a link on a Friday afternoon from something I just wrote on Medium,
no
I'll
commentary,
get views on it.
just the link.
I'll write a sentence.
All right, okay, just
like something.
Wow,
yeah,
that's so funny. I never would have guessed.
So you can do the thing of, like, you write on Medium, then you share it on, like, LinkedIn, then 6 months after, you just run the article on LinkedIn. Like how after 2 weeks, people aren't going to remember it. You could run it then too. But yeah, I think it is. Tom, I think is right. Like in terms of coaching clients and stuff, like LinkedIn is like, there's the chat available immediately for private chats. With LinkedIn, like with Medium, you can have the private chat. Like, it's just weird though. But with LinkedIn, if someone likes your article, like they can shoot you a message in one click. So I think the more one-on-one conversations for growing out a coaching business, if you want to write for places, if you have editing services, for me, I think it's kind of worth the effort there.
Yeah. I think one thing that's interesting as well is that it's kind of alluded to what I said before, is about it's better to pick one or two platforms and be really good at them, or have a really strong presence. So like for Mike, it's like LinkedIn. For like Zulie, it's been YouTube. For Sinem, it's been Facebook. For me, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of doing the opposite of what my advice is, and I'm kind of a bit everywhere.
Why are you here?
Yeah. Do what I say, not what I do. And well, part of that, I guess, is well, because I've got my day job, then I can't really focus on a particular platform properly. So I can't post on the best times, and I can't do that kind of stuff because it would interfere with my day job. But I guess if I ever go out of that, then I would be looking at trying to pick a platform to really build a presence. Because for me, it's funny, I've got like however many followers on Medium, but then I've got like 500 Twitter followers, 500 Instagram followers, and it's like, it doesn't really add up. It's really funny how different my following is between different platforms. Whereas if you've got kind of a twin peak or 3 peaks, or however you want to do it, where you've got Medium, but then you're really strong on one other place or 2 other places, I think that's the best strategy. And it's kind of what I've seen you 3 do, and what I should be doing.
I do with LinkedIn too. I've talked about this in the past.
When I quit my job, though, like I was not doing this very well before. There just isn't enough time. You can't do it.
I think with LinkedIn is really cool is the thing. I've talked about this in the past of people, like whenever you follow someone, like you each get the connection, right? So everybody wants connections on LinkedIn. So if you do something for a month on your CTA of your articles on Medium, if you're getting 20,000 views a month or something, have your CTA come say hi on LinkedIn. You're going to build up very, very fast over there. So I just think it's kind of like Sinem, like with Instagram, I think you were focusing on when we first spoke. And if you can get up to 10,000 people there, then you can get 10,000 on Twitter, and then you have 50,000 on Medium. You're a little bit more protected also in the future if there's problems with Medium.
Yeah.
But I think it's really fast to grow on LinkedIn. Well, right? Say what?
I think it builds that credibility where, like for me, in the UK, most people have no idea what Medium is. So if I say I've got 20K followers on Medium, people don't give a crap about it or whatever. So when people are unsure about the platform, we're not familiar with it, it's then good to have a presence somewhere else where people are more familiar with, oh, okay, they've got 10,000 Instagram followers. That's big. Or 10,000 Twitter followers. Whereas it kind of looks a bit odd if somebody's kind of following you up and looking into your details. Like maybe 20,000 followers means nothing, or maybe 100,000 followers means nothing. Because we all know,
No.
Oh, so sorry. We all know like that there's not many people who've got 100,000 followers on Medium, but most people aren't as informed as we are. So like someone might see Tim Denning and think, oh, everybody's got 100,000 followers on Medium, even though it's in a very like exclusive club. And that's why he's got that massive LinkedIn presence as well.
I think it's just important to keep in mind also why you're doing that, and why you need those numbers and followers and the external credibility. So for me, for example, I know that people don't know Medium, for example, in the German-speaking area. I don't really care about it because that's not my goal. Like becoming a well-known name in the German-speaking area is not my goal. A lot of people don't know that I have a Facebook group with now more than 4,000 members that is highly lucrative monetarily, for example, and an extremely valuable community, or you wouldn't be able to tell that when you're not in the group or when you don't understand the business background. I don't really care because I for me, it's more important about what are the actual results I create inside my business, rather than someone looking on Instagram and saying, "Oh wow, she has, I don't know, 10,000 followers," which
it's
then
more for
doesn't
collaborations, for
translate.
example. If like somebody wants to collaborate,
but again, it depends. Like if somebody wants to collaborate, for example, I have collaborations coming up with people who teach certain types of writing. These people know that it's more about having a highly engaged community than, you know, having Instagram followers, for example. So it's not a right or wrong. It's just, you know, be more reflective and ask yourself where you're going and where your journey might lead. And you don't need to know that right from the beginning. I certainly didn't know. But these, you know, outside metrics don't always match. And they might not be the most important thing to look at. And I think it gets so easy to stress out about all these different platforms, and you can spend so much time on all the different platforms. That's why I would really focus on one or two max at the beginning. If at the beginning also means like if you're in it for 6 months and you're not where you want to be, then you're still at the beginning because you're still have a limited capacity. So definitely makes sense to narrow down and try to understand one or two platforms instead of spreading your content everywhere.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting
is just in case, say like my medium got taken down.
But in that case, honestly,
elsewhere.
The community is more important. Yeah, for me, the content is one for Medium, and then the community is somewhere else. Like, so if you have your group, 10 tight-knit writers like Nick Goki and Nick Wignall together, that's just as much security as posting on LinkedIn.
And if you want to be more stable, I think there's no way out from building an email list and understanding email marketing and getting people to open your email. So that's the most stable you can get, and then still export your email list in case they delete your account. I think that happened to, was it Tim on an email provider? Do you guys know? It happened to someone, to some big medium name, that their email list, or they got kicked out of their email provider. So email list is definitely the most stable
Sounds like
can
Tim.
get. and then still, it's kind of that balance between being paranoid and just being, smart and not relying on some other people's platform algorithm changes, etc. So try to figure out how Medium works, and then once you feel confident and once you can recreate certain results, ask yourself how you might connect with your readers and audience somewhere else, preferably in an email list, my personal opinion, because all the other platforms can do the same and change as well, but email is just a different connection.
You know what I'm seeing a lot now is the LinkedIn newsletters. I was speaking with Michael Simmons on Friday, and he grew one from January till now to 50,000 subscribers. So whenever he sends out an article, like he does articles twice a week on LinkedIn, short ones. And he said,
"What is a LinkedIn newsletter?"
It's like Melody Wilding has been too. If you look at Melody Wilding's profile on LinkedIn, she has a newsletter for her new book. So she's sending out articles around that. That's like an email list, but attached to LinkedIn.
But you don't own the emails.
I think it's really interesting. Like if you grow out that list with LinkedIn, like you can also share your articles and stuff like that.
I guess it's just a cost benefit analysis.
Just another channel.
Another place to try to build a list.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't build lists on different places, though. I think so. If I would try to keep them all in one place, unless there is a good reason to do something different. But I would try to get as many people as possible into one email list outside of a social platform, where I really can control how often, how much I message them, where I have maximum control over what I do with those emails.
Yeah, I think Michael Simmons is using LinkedIn like we would Medium. So instead of running his articles on Medium, it's pretty cool. It's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's worth looking into. All right. I think we actually covered a lot, and we wanted to keep that to 30 minutes. So I would wrap that up and majorly actually thank the three of you for taking the time. Thank you all for joining us for this very first session. So that has been pretty special for me. From now on, for this week, every single day a new video is going to be up on the channel. So if you want some more Medium related stuff, make sure to come back to the channel. Yeah, subscribe, like our session if that's possible. I don't know if you can like live sessions, but if it's possible, do it. And if you liked what we did here, make sure to check out our exclusive newsletter called Write Your Future. So the four of us have actually collaborated for a pretty epic product that we launched 2 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. Where we send you an exclusive newsletter each week where we answer one frequently asked and relevant question around writing on Medium, writing online. Once per month, you get to see our beautiful faces in a roundtable session just like this one, where we really go in depth in one of your questions. So we are really all about answering the questions that benefit you. So make sure to check that out. By the way, once you sign up, you also get access to all the sessions and newsletters that we already sent out. So you will have a lot of content to digest from the past 2 months. So that's really a bunch of content. If you're new on Medium or not seeing your desired results yet, that's the perfect place to go. And it's actually the only place where you will get 4 different opinions from 4 writers who found their way of, making an income and impact writing online on Medium, but also on other platforms. So we're really confident about the value we present, and you don't really have much to lose. So make sure to check it out. And thanks to the 3 of you again for joining me for this session. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me, Sinem.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Right.